What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing the Ironman 4x4 adjustable Panhard bar, the front, not the rear. The reason I'm doing this is to recenter the axle. The axle's been shifted over to the left from the 3-inch lift that I've installed via the 2-inch lift coils and the 30mm spacers. So the axle is shifted to that side ever so slightly. So we're going to go ahead and get the Panhard rod installed, extend it compared to the stock one so that the axle can be centered again. I will be doing the Delta Panhard mount in the rear as soon as I get it in the mail. I wasn't going to just do the adjustable Panhard rod in the rear because apparently there's articulation issues at full flex, so I wanted to do it the right way. That'll be coming in the mail shortly, so make sure you stay tuned and subscribe to see that install if you're interested. And if you take a look under here, we've already installed it. So that's the Ironman adjustable front Panhard rod. So what you can see here is there's a fine thread, fine pitch with a locking nut, and this side is the one that extends from the main part here. So anyways, as you can see, I've got the 2-inch lift with the spacers up top, and that's shifted the axle this way. So now I have already got that installed and extended it so the axle is back centered now. So like I said, we will be doing the rear Delta Panhard mount relatively soon here when it comes in the mail. Yeah, I've noticed this is actually backwards. I've just been too lazy to get to that. So obviously this is done. Let's take you to the beginning so we can show you how to do it. Well, obviously using a 1/2-inch ratchet with a 1/2-inch to 3/8 adapter, an extension is not optimum in this situation, but it did break the bolt loose. So it would have been easier to take the tie rod off. I'm trying to cheat so I don't have to do that with the wheels in the ground, because I think this would technically be the easiest way. We'll see by the end of the video whether or not that turns out to be true. Felt like while I was under here, I would give a chance to kind of look over the what's under here and what I'm going to be doing. So obviously there's a lot of ATF that's been dripping down both right here and all over the axle housing. Now that's from oil change and other things, but a lot of it has to do with, it's gonna be hard to see, the power steering pump. Let me get some light up there. So the power steering pump is leaking from somewhere. And I'm sure that could be the front main seal as well. As I'm looking, I can kind of see right there, it looks like that RTV is kind of cracked and brittle. So I would assume that a good majority of that is going to be engine oil. And I will be doing that in a video relatively soon. But the point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of oil dripping from the power steering pump. So that'll be another video as well. I'm going to get the Wits End kit and rebuild that. But anyways, that'd probably be smart if I did that. I fixed that before doing this so that it doesn't make the rubber on the new one swell up like this one did and most likely fail. We'll have it pulled out in a second. We'll see how bad a shape it's in. But for all intents and purposes, the point of this install is to get the axle centered again. Okay, I broke it loose. Okay, and as you saw there, I was almost having an issue with clearance with the adjusting bolt for the tie rod end on this side. So what you can do though is you can rotate it by hand just enough so that it oscillates out of the way of this bolt's clearance, and I was able to do it. It does not look like it's in the best of shape. This is the axle side, which looks pretty good. Yeah, that's more like 3/8 of an inch. We'll go ahead and put it back one rotation and then see where it's at. Right, so I've just kind of set them on top of each other here, and then I'm just going to use the bolt for the diff side to go into this, and then I'm going to flip it over. There we go. We can see on this end how much further we need to go. Now, most people that I've seen say anywhere from 5 millimeters per inch of lift, or a 1/4 inch for 4 inches of lift. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do a 1/4 inch of difference from the stock one. So let's get a measuring tape. Yeah, that's more like 3/8 of an inch. We'll go ahead and put it back one rotation and then see where it's at. All right, so to me that looks like just under a 1/4 inch. So I think that's going to be good. We're gonna go ahead and just snug up this lock ring so that it doesn't move from where we had it. That is the side, the diff side, not the driver's side, with the captive nut. We're gonna go ahead and thread that one first so that while we're doing this, if I was to do this side first and, you know, even get it mildly tight and then try and adjust the steering wheel or ratchet strap, which is what I'm gonna use, then that could potentially mess those threads up. So we're gonna go ahead and just get that in, get it threaded or started, and then we're going to use a ratchet strap to get over, get our holes here lined up with that. Now I might have handcuffed myself here. I'm not sure if I can have the clearance. It looks like I'll have the clearance, but I can tell that the frame is moving ever so slightly. Yep, there it goes. All right, so that worked. So I'm just gonna get the bolt on, or the nut on the bolt just threaded, and we'll worry about torquing it down in a sec. I have the lock nut on there and I'll go ahead and tighten that up in a sec. But anyways, in the future, if you need to adjust this, say for a lift, or if you say you want to go back to stock height, the nice thing is you can just do the same method that I did with the ratchet strap, loosen this lock nut, and then leave that side in, maybe loosen that a little bit, take this out, and then you can just spin this collar as back as far as you need, or forward. So you'd obviously extend it that way or subtract it that way. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get the ratchet strap off and go ahead and get everything looked up, the factory torque specs for these, and maybe not. A lot of the time I just kind of, you know, freewheel it. Anyways. Feels about right. I want to point out here is that the overall health of the knuckles here, you can kind of see right up in there. There's the moly grease in a decent pattern. So that leads me to believe that, you know, knuckles have been serviced sometime recently. However, I will be doing the knuckle service video on that soon. Anyways, these do look pretty good. And these are, when they say check your nuts on the 80 series, these are the nuts they're referring to. These are the kingpin or trunnion bearing nuts and studs, and they tend to come loose. And if they do, you're gonna have all sorts of problems. Obviously, you know, your hub assembly or your knuckle assembly could come off, your tie rods, and then all sorts of bad stuff. But mine actually have a good deal of dirt and crud and stuff in there, which looks like it's prevented them from moving at all. Anyways, let's get everything cleaned up. Well, as you can see, that was a pretty easy install. I did it with the tires on, and I mean, it was relatively easy. No real specialty tools needed. And see if that clicking noise is gone. If it's not, the next thing that I would suspect would be, yeah, something like radius arm bushings, which I'm probably going to replace with OEM rubber because they're polyurethane. They might have already been worn out, and that clicking could be the bolts inside the two lower radius arm to differential mounts binding on each other when the axle is moved front and back from braking. or it could be tie rod ends. So we'll go ahead and suss that out eventually, but for now, let's go for a ride and see how it does. All right, guys, I just went for a drive and can definitely say that it's driving 100% better. Not really getting that clicking noise that I was before. Definitely an improvement. One thing I need to note is that I'm not driving with my front sway bar in, just because I know that I get a little bit better articulation with it. That having been said, it does sacrifice some of your on-road, characteristics. Obviously, not having a front sway bar, but to be honest, it really didn't make much of a difference to me. And for what the gains you get off-road as far as how much your front axle can flex, I feel like it's worth it. But it does put undue stress on the other components, obviously, which is probably why I was having issues with the Panhard bushings. Definitely happy with it because we live on a big kind of a slope now in our driveway. My parking brake is more crucial now than it was, because now I have my truck resting on park or drive gear in the transmission on the steep hill, which is not ideal. And my parking brake is pretty much done because I've left it on while driving sometimes. So I'm going to be doing a video next, hopefully later this week or next week, on how to adjust your parking brake and or just replacing the shims inside. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good night. Until next time, I'll see you on the trails.